Good day, brothers and sisters. This is the second video that I'm making during this time of the coronavirus crisis as hopefully a little support for you spiritually. In the last video, I recommended to everybody the beautiful practice of Lectio Divina, to take the Gospel of Matthew and slowly over the next number of weeks read the Gospel little by little for 15 or 20 minutes a day, reflecting on its meaning, dialoguing with the Lord, just savoring the beautiful text that comes from that Gospel. Today I'd like to speak a little bit about this theme that we're beginning on Palm Sunday, the theme of the Passion of Christ. Our whole world today is experiencing a type of passion. It's experienced as darkness. The darkness of disease, the darkness of fear. As severe and as frightening as this darkness is, there are many forms of darkness that prove more damaging to the human person, namely the darkness of serious sin. Everybody watching this video has probably had such experiences of darkness. I certainly have, repeatedly. At times we probably have felt ashamed of our attitudes and actions that we hope to remain hidden in the darkness. The question arises, where is Jesus in the darkness, whether it be the darkness of the pandemic or the darkness of serious sin? On this Palm Sunday, the beginning of the week that we call Holy, we see Jesus responding unambiguously to this question. The story of the Passion of Christ relates one instance of darkness after another, almost a symphony of sin. The first is a horrific account of betrayal. For 30 pieces of silver, Judas agrees to betray his mentor, his friend, his master. In the Divine Comedy, Dante places those who betray in the lowest regions of hell. After the Last Supper, Jesus goes to the Garden of Gethsemane with Peter, James, and John, where he enters into a profound agony as his human will wrestles with the will of God. And where are the 3 disciples? Asleep. In his moment of greatest need, the disciples are overcome by another form of darkness, spiritual sloth, laziness to do the will of God. This is another instance of the darkness of sin. In the book of Revelation, Jesus says he will spit the spiritually lazy out of his mouth. The darkness continues with the arrival of Judas, accompanied by a large crowd with swords and clubs, violent people coming to arrest the Prince of Peace, who taught love of enemy and turning one's cheek when struck. The disciples are more concerned with saving their own skin than with remaining faithful to Jesus. Matthew tells us, then all the disciples left him and fled. The darkness of fear and cowardice carries the day. The darkness deepens when Jesus is led before the Sanhedrin, the high court of the Jews. These men should represent those who are most concerned about right judgment. Instead, they endorse false testimony. They encourage lies. As the darkness of injustice and falsehoods proceeds, Peter arrives in the courtyard and is recognized by one of the maidservants. You too were with Jesus the Galilean, she says. But he denied it in front of everyone, saying, I do not know the man. The darkness of sin has even seduced the one Jesus had chosen as leader of his disciples. The next morning, Jesus is handed over to Pontius Pilate, who represents the Roman government, the one responsible for overseeing Roman law and justice. He soon realizes that Jesus is innocent, but he's more interested in pleasing the crowd and being comfortable than in the truth. The dark sin of preferring to please human beings rather than pleasing God prevails. Judas, by this time, has deeply regretted what he had done and, in despair, hanged himself. Both Judas and Peter betrayed Jesus. The difference is that Peter wept tears of repentance and did not completely despair of God's mercy. I return to my original question. Where is Jesus in the darkness? The answer is terribly obvious. He is in the darkness. Just as Jesus identified with the crowds of sinners who asked to be baptized by John the Baptist, so too Jesus enters into the middle of the darkness of sin. In a sense, he attracts the darkness to himself. Then his love and his mercy absorb the power of the darkness. When we seek the presence and the mercy of Jesus in our darkness, light enters and gives us hope and confidence in his mercy. This is the good news in what seems to be a horrible story. God bless you all. May you have a very blessed Holy Week.